Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
Hello, Facebook.
So
How are you?
there we go.
Hello, YouTube. How
So
are
today,
you?
oh, let me turn on Instagram so they can get my cool sign. There we go.
Everybody likes your cool sign, man.
I worked hard on it. So this week we decided we're talking about the 7-piece set. Today.
Yeah. What is your favorite 7-piece set? I put one together, but I don't know if it's 7 exactly.
No, odds are yours is nuts. So
well, it's odds are it's probably just all the knives I have packed up ready to roll at all times.
Well, so when we were talking about that this morning, I decided, so Japanese Knife 101, Kevin and I get together via Zoom, and we have a conversation that is loosely based around some theme that we've chosen for the day.
Yeah.
Today, we talked about it last week. The goal was, there I'm by myself now. The goal, there we go. We were talking about what is the perfect 7-piece set. And because you always I could give you a different knife for every job and think it's the perfect knife. So this is not a conversation for those who think you only need one knife. That's nuts. You don't need only one knife. That's like saying you only need one bicycle. Or if you have you only need to drink one type of beer. You need a different knife for it. All kinds of jobs. It's more fun. I know. I'm just getting it out there that this is not a conversation for someone who chooses to argue with me that you only need one knife ever. So we started talking about what's your perfect 7-piece set. So what I did today is I went around the store and I pretended that I was going to get fired and I was going to have to go work in a restaurant again.
Oh, so what a terrible day.
So what 7 knives would I bring with me to my first day at a new restaurant? That's how I went about picking my 7. Now, while Kevin and I are chatting, by all means, if you've got some questions, just stick them in the comments. Kevin has taken a look at those. I'll have them open too here and there. But have a look. See, if you got something you're curious, don't be shy. That's why we're doing these, is because we want to help people. Like maybe you've got, what's a good knife for this job? I want a knife like this, but I'm scared of taking care of it. Whatever it is, like if it's on your mind, it's worth asking, and we'll help you out. So, like Don said, you can have too many knives.
Did you see what Don said about your brisket?
I'm looking, and it looks like he said nothing about brisket yet.
Don Penny tunes in every week on these shows, and he keeps talking smack about Chris Lord's brisket. He says he's much better at cooking brisket, and the next time I'm in Canada or in Ottawa, I should have his brisket. That's what he says. And he says, "You're not very good, Chris."
Yeah, I don't know why Don's like that to me.
He's he's mean. I don't know. I guess he's a mean guy. What do I know?
You know what I cooked yesterday, though? I cooked quite a bit over the weekend. Strangely enough, I don't normally do that these days. But I cooked, Kevin, this week, I did a pork belly roast yesterday.
Nice. I would come over for that.
Like the kind of the old school, all rolled up, cooked it low and slow for a really long time. And then just before I wanted to eat it, I blasted it up to 475 to get a whole lot of really crispy skin. I was very happy with that. I made some scalloped potatoes in my Finex pan.
Oh,
yeah.
I could be down with
that. And I cooked a couple duck breasts the other night too.
I haven't cooked duck in a long time.
Yeah, this is before. Here, I want to ask you a question before we start talking about these 7-piece knives.
Okay. Yes.
I have never cooked a whole duck before.
Oh, I do like cooking a whole duck, but the problem is ducks, like all birds, are built wrong, except quails.
Yeah, quails you can cook. Okay, because I've always been very concerned about roasting a duck and having tough legs and overcooked breasts.
You just gotta deal with a well done breast on a duck.
Okay, but I guess if you go like really low and slow for a long time, it'll kind of like break apart some, right? Well, then that's what I'll do next.
Just do what I used to do is when the breast is done, rip the legs off, put the legs back in the oven, let the breast rest.
Yeah, see, that's what I would do too.
But
But
then, but
I
then,
just
then you
swear there's
don't.
got to
But
be
then
an
you miss
easy
the
way to do
whole
it.
proud presentation of a whole
Yeah.
roasted bird, right?
Well, it's like we talked about turkeys, right? Earlier, like in the fall. Oh, Big P and a Nick say brine it. I've never brined a duck. So if you are one of the few people
I've
watching
tried
on
ducks.
Instagram, I wrote this sign. I don't know if you can tell, but everything is mirror imaged. I wrote this sign by hand backwards. That's why the J is screwed up and why it looks like my 6-year-old did it. But I did that so you guys would have the link.
You
for
probably did it
YouTube.
with your left hand too.
I did all backwards.
That's probably why
Everything
it's totally screwed up.
So.
You did it with your left hand.
Yeah, it just looks terrible. So why don't I start with this knife roll here, Kevin? What do you think about that? That might spark some conversation.
Oh, do you have any news yet? I've got news.
What's your news?
I've got news. I'm building some shelves. I've got a garage now, so I've turned into a total house owner in a very short time. I've turned into a house owner in a very short time, and
I'll
building
find
some
a picture
shelves.
for you.
I'm building some shelves in my garage, and you could take a car, for example.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it on my phone here for you.
Here's the picture here.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. So
that's
Kevin's
bike
cargo bite.
Despot, and that's 12-foot
Yeah.
2x4s. I got 10 12-foot 2x4s there, and that was quite fun. And then I got them home too. I survived. Look at that. I made it home.
Yeah.
To my empty garage.
See, I get proud of the fact that I put, I strap a pizza to the back of my motorcycle and managed to get home.
Oh, so, a pizza. Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know who's just joined us on Instagram? Is Kobayashi-san.
Oh, hello,
you should say hello. I can't.
I'll give him a wave. Yeah, Kevin is saying hello.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, Kobayashi-san.
Oh, there we go. See, look at that.
Look at me. I'm trilingual.
Look at that. Adrian says the 7-piece set is a full Denko Hoto set. Easy peasy. I like that.
Well, here's my shit disturber question. Is what are you gonna use when you gotta split a chicken? I wouldn't use that knife.
An axe.
You can use an axe. A 7-piece knife set should have an axe in it.
A cuisine axe.
A cuisine axe, like Steve Wall. Steve Wall has one.
You know what? I learned that trick from Kevin Costlewood years ago to have a cuisine axe, and I like it. In fact, I've got cleavers, but I prefer an axe now, to be honest.
Oh, Gabriel D is asking, what do I have a new motorcycle. It's not as cool as what you've got. I bought a W800 earlier this summer. But yesterday I went and picked up a 1981 Honda Goldwing that doesn't work. So I'm going to spend a ton of money on that. 2 of them, yeah.
Did you get both of them? I'm going to
spend a ton of money on the free motorcycle. Yeah, we've got both, but they don't really move. Okay. Oh, Don told me about this. Yeah. So Don is saying that he's got a friend who wants to get a petty knife for her husband as a birthday gift. And they've already ordered a large Conroe because Don brought his over to their house for a barbecue, or they met up at the cottage or something like that. And they were super excited. And so they've gone and ordered it. So that's something that is worth mentioning. If you've had your eye on one of the Conroe grills, we don't have any in stock right now, but we are allowing them. And this is something we haven't done before, but we're taking pre-orders on the grills for when they come in October.
Because they're already selling for October.
It's ridiculous.
We've underestimated our purchasing totally, but most of these things we have to order 6, 8, 12 months in advance, and we've just underestimated.
So like if you have had your eye on a Conroe, take a look at the website. You can order them like a pre-order, and kind of pick your closest store. And then when they all get shipped over, we'll kind of divvy them out properly. And then that way, no one's getting dinged on shipping as well. Now, if you have to ship it, if you can't get to a knifeware, like I'm sorry, I can't really fix that part for you. So yeah.
All right. Well, listen, we've already got people bugging us saying, "What's the 7-piece set?"
Okay.
If you keep talking about it, and what's your
and
7-piece set?
Chef Mex had a good answer to how do you split a chicken, and it was Tojiro kitchen shears, and that was the correct answer, Adrian.
That's actually a really smart answer.
Boom.
That's
Internet
a COVID
high-five.
distance high five.
Okay.
Yes.
So here is the beginning of the 7-piece set I've put together. So this is a Horace and Jasper. I'm going to just start and tell you what it is. It's kind of like Price is Right today. So this is a Horace and Jasper 7-piece knife bag. So Jeff used to work for Knifeware in the Calgary location, and now he's got his own business where he does a lot of leather goods, and he makes a lot of beard and shaving stuff for kind of Inglewood as well. So this is the leather stuff comes from his company called Horace and Jasper, which it took me a little while to realize that he's named that after the two goons in 101 Dalmatians.
Yes.
Knew that.
Not as people always think. People seem to think that he's saying whores in Jasper. Jasper being a little mountain town out here. No, he wouldn't, but people seem to think he said that. Just terrible. So while you're opening that, listen, we've got a couple of questions here real quick. Someone says, carbon steel or stainless steel, what do you prefer? And I say, here's my thinking. I prefer carbon steel because it's easy to sharpen, but it's kind of a pain in the butt. So I prefer stainless steel if it's going to rust. So for hunting knives, I prefer stainless steel, although my newest hunting knife's carbon steel. And for anything on a boat or near the ocean, I prefer stainless steel. And for things that I'm going to let guests use, I prefer stainless steel, but I mostly prefer carbon for myself.
I'd agree. It's kind of one of the big things is,
you know what,
you're trading.
Here's some SG2 powder steel, Kevin. I'm not going to say no, right? Like I love that steel, and I think it cuts like carbon. I love it. So I don't know. Carbon mostly, except when I prefer stainless.
Yeah, I would just say generally speaking, because there's always going to be exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, you're trading performance for maintenance.
Yeah.
When you're saying stainless versus carbon, right? Because Kevin's talking about powdered steels, which are generally a stainless steel, and they'll usually have a similar hardness to a carbon steel. Now, hardness is important because when we talk about how hard a steel is, that's really the only thing we can focus on that'll give us an idea of how sharp it can get. So when you hear us say like harder steels, softer steels, that kind of stuff, what's important to you is that a harder steel will make a knife that gets sharper and keeps the edge for longer. So it will be sharpened less often. So when we're saying performance, we're referring to how sharp and its ability to stay sharp. And when we say maintenance, we mean things like wash and dry right away because it might rust. That's really the biggest thing when I talk about.
You know what? And Justin just said stainless clad Shirogami too, he prefers. So he's saying a white carbon steel, but where they wrap the stainless around the carbon steel down the middle. So you get less maintenance issues because you only have to worry about the very little bit of carbon steel sticking out of the edge to rust. Yeah. But you still get all the power of cutting with carbon and the stay sharp ability of it and the ease of resharpening, but less maintenance. So that's actually my favorite way to build a knife.
Yeah.
Which I think gets us into the next question here we have from Carrie, saying, is the Takeda Agami Super comparable to Fujiwara Denka Agami Super? What do you think, Chris?
They're very different.
Apples to oranges a beast. Apples to oranges a bit, hey? Same steel, same idea. They've got a stainless jacket around Agami Super. They got Agami Super in the middle with stainless steel kind of wrapped around it like a sandwich. But anyway, go on. What do you think, Chris?
I would say The Denka, there's a big difference between the two. And that is before like we talk about like any kind of like geometry or anything like that. The biggest difference between the Fujiwara Denka no Hoto and a Takeda NAS is that Takeda purchases billets of steel that are ready to go. So he has his stainless steel, super blue carbon, stainless steel. He buys them. That's how he likes to do it because he likes that he gets more control over the situation. The difference with Fujiwara is he puts that together himself. So instead of starting with a piece of steel that's like that thick, like what Takeda wood and hammers you can do a knife that's that thick, Fujiwara starts with 3 pieces of steel that's thick and hammers them down into a really thin knife. So just because of that extra work, we're going to get a harder steel with Fujiwara's knives. So they're going to get sharper and they're going to keep their edge longer. Now, a really cool thing about Takeda is that because his knives are purposely as thin as possible, so they feel really like they almost kind of bat out of their league. Like they feel sharper because of how thin they are. So I would say if you're used to a traditional knife, like you kind of like, because a lot of people love Takedas, but I don't know many people who only use Takedas because like
No,
they are kind of strange.
I think Mr. Takeda's knives are great. I love them. I've been friends and a fan of Mr. Takeda for years. But I think his blades are perfect to get one of, or maybe
Yeah.
two, right? Get one because they're so weird, right? Get a 240 Gyuto from him. It's so weird. They're really tall. They're super thin. They're very strange knife to use, and they're super fun. So if you love knives, get one from him. But if
Yeah.
you're looking for a knife to use all the time for everything, man, that Denka, nothing's going to stay sharp like it does. And it is just, we can get it insane sharp. Like it stays sharper than the Takeda. It stays sharper
Yeah.
longer, right?
Yeah. And it's just because of those extra steps he's taking. So
Yeah.
Mike, Michelle in Quebec City just got a Horace and Jasper 4. Yeah, so Jeff makes a 4-piece one. So earlier, I hope Minority Report is still on Instagram. This is a 7-piece knife roll. So we've got let's kind of reorganize this. Fort Spencer Tools is commenting on Instagram that he can't hear the other side of the conversation on Instagram. That's why I have this very artfully crafted sign, Mr. Adam Zarecki, that is directing you to YouTube, because you can hear the other side of the conversation on that.
And the
audio
picture's
is much
better and the sound's better.
Everything is better. So,
all right, sorry. Maybe we should get into that 7-piece.
Yes, let's get into it.
Gabriel shared here. He says he has a Gyuto, Nakiri, 75 millimeter Petty, a Hanazuki, a Banka, Kamigata, a Deba, Yanagiba, and a Nusuba. Oh my, but he says the first 4 are non-negotiable. Those are important. Gyuto, Nakiri, Petty, Hanazuki. And the rest are fun or nice to haves. That's his whole thing.
Adam is now apologizing profusely on Instagram because I harassed him so hard.
Let's go to his house and kick him.
Let's go give him a kick. All right. So 7 knives in here. And I think I agree with Gabriel on 3 of the 4 non-negotiables. But then look at this up here. Look at all that extra gear. I really grabbed everything I thought in case I was getting canned. So do you want me to go one by one, do you think? Like, what's more fun?
Let's do it.
Okay.
What do you think is the most important?
I think, well, the most important is your chef's knife, right? Is your Gyuto. So Chef Max will appreciate, I did pick a 240 Fujiwara Denka for mine because I prefer a 240. I'm a big guy. I'm over 6 feet tall. A 240 just fits better in my hand. I can do more with it. I'm very comfortable using a knife this size. If you were a little bit smaller than me or a 240 seems really scary, a 210 will do. Go for a 210. I personally, I don't use a Santoku that often, but I would use a Santoku. I would be convinced that you could swap a Santoku for a Nikiri if you wanted.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
You know, like I would say that those are more interchangeable. I would not. I don't think that you can swap out a Santoku for a Gyuto. I don't think it's fair, but I think you could. I think you could swap out a Nikiri for a Santoku if you really wanted to.
So Chef Mex is saying, thanks for having guards on your knives. And Don Penny is saying, I guess you need blade guards if you're going to be packing your knives in a roll.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. I got two really good reasons for why you need a blade guard on here. Is number one is when you roll this up, like they're not just like in stasis, like they can rattle around and bang into each other.
Oh,
So
and they're just going to cut through.
Yeah, they'll cut through the leather. You'll chip your knives, and one day, this is the other reason, you're going to reach in. You don't have a blade guard, and you'll cut yourself. You'll cut yourself worse reaching in and out of your knife bag than you ever will using it. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
That was like the first thing they told me in culinary school. This is where you're going to cut yourself, so make sure you cover them up. So,
do you remember your first day at culinary school, Chris?
Yeah, we were all piled into a big auditorium. So I went to culinary school in Charlottetown, and we were all piled into the auditorium, and I had bright blue hair at the time. And
well done.
Yeah, I got picked on so much on that first day because I was very, they could see it under my stupid paper hat. So
you probably got picked on by the chef instructors and your peers, I'll bet.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I did.
And weren't you bigger than all of them? Why did you just beat the shit out of them?
I'm very meek.
You're not anymore.
No. That was after all of the cooking. I realized that there's very little shit I should take. So.
All right, listen, Fred's got a question.
Oh yeah.
Fred, where is he? He's in Florida or something, isn't he? He's in the States. No, he's in St. Louis.
Is that Fred in St. Louis? I know his name, Fred Bashar. He's got a couple of Denkas.
We still got to go to St. Louis. He says, do you have a larch wood knife block for hanging knives?
Oh, I do.
He's thinking of getting a Moritaka Ishime Petty and needs more room to hang knives for shipping with his Conroe in October. Oh my goodness.
So I'll give you I'll tell you a secret, Fred. The Moritaka Petty is in my 7-piece set. I'll go get that magnet when you guys can just like stare at the knife.
Fred's in Pennsylvania. Sorry, Fred's in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
What do you got there? You got something coming? You got a.
I do. I'm getting the magnet to show Fred.
Okay, good.
Fred wanted to see the magnet.
It takes a cut or three to develop the required respect a sharp knife commands, says Dame Inspector.
You're a smart person.
Yeah,
so they're quite a bit thicker. They're a little bit thicker than the bow grain ones that we.
Which means you're not going to punch the wall when you pick your knife up. That's probably a smart idea.
No wall punching. They look really good. You might want to wax them up here and there. The thing I find about the magnets, just from being in the knife shop and all the sharpening on the other side of the room, is all the metal dust.
Yeah, and that scratches your knife, so you got to clean that off.
Yeah. So, but they mount fairly easy.
But that's us. We have more steel dust in the air than most people have in their homes.
Yeah, you don't have steel dust in the air in your house. So no, these are great. They're quite a bit bigger than, like, because the magnets go right to the edge, eh? Like. Yeah. So they've got, how big is that?
I don't know. That's really proud. It's a big, proud size.
Yeah. Like that's got to be 18. That's at least 18 inches. Whereas the bow grain ones top out at that 15 and a half. So.
You got to get that half in there.
Yeah.
Fred wants to know what's the cost on that thing. What's the price on that thing?
$200. $200, I think. I don't know.
But in American dollars, that's like 60, I think, right?
Yeah, that's
maybe
like
30.
That's like a high five and a milkshake, really, for you.
Tex-Mex says, "Here's my question," but then doesn't ask a question. He says, "I'm a Denka guy. They're all daily drivers." So it's not much of a question, but it's an excellent statement.
It is a good
Oh, here's
statement.
the question. I find my handle gets a little dry. What do I use on the handle? Get
Oh,
that Clapham's, get that
the
Clapham's
Clapham
wax.
beeswax. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here, I probably got some handy. It's really cheap too. It's if like I always just get the big container. Like this is what is it? It's 200 grams
And I
versus
use
the other
that
size. The other size they make is like 50 grams, and this is $24 for the big tub. The
as
little tub is
opposed to,
$10.
yeah. And that's
So
4 times the size. So that's,
yeah.
yeah,
So
it's a way
yeah,
better
but this
deal.
is use this on all your wood stuff, your cutting boards, your knives. We do it on like put it on axe handles here, like anything. It's a mixture of beeswax and mineral oil. It does a really, really good job.
But you know
That's
what?
your
It's
best
great.
bet.
It's great on handles. It's great
Yeah.
on the wooden magnet blocks. It's great on butcher blocks and cutting boards.
Mhm.
And I did it on my, I've got a mid-century, like a 1950s desk that was getting dry. And I polished it up with that the other day. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Gabrielle is
I
asking, how does the knife stick to the wood? Gabrielle McCaffrey, the knife sticks to the wood because we used magnet wood from New Brunswick. So the knife
from
just sticks to
Magnetic
the
Hill.
magnet wood. Yeah, from Magnetic Hill.
I shouldn't laugh as much at that.
Why?
I don't know. I don't
Why is
normally
that
laugh at
funny?
your jokes that hard.
That's not a joke. My joke is
Yeah.
about Switzerland. Do you know much about Switzerland?
No, I don't.
No. I don't either, but the flag's a big plus.
Oh, geez.
Oh, I love that joke.
Yeah. Oh,
Gets funnier every week, doesn't it?
yeah. Oh, I should have said I knew the answer. I should have. But that magnetic hill, that's good. Whew, whew. All right, let's go back to another knife.
So we've done one knife. Oh, we got 2 knives now out of the best of
Two.
7.
So
Okay, good.
chef's knife, like your Guto, is going to do most of the work all day. Just
Yeah.
like Adrian said there, it's your daily driver, right? For me, a 240 is key. A lot of people are comfortable with a 210. Sand tokens are too small unless you're tiny. That's my opinion, and that's why I tell people all day. If a Nikiri is really good for if you're doing a lot of veg prep. It's got a really flat kind of, we would call the edge of the knife, when you're referring to the profile, sometimes you'll hear the word belly used, and that's like, we'll kind of refer to how much the knife rocks. Nikiris are generally very, very flat. So when you're chopping with a nikiri, the entire knife, the whole edge kind of kisses the board at the same time. So you'll cut right through all the food. You don't get stuck with any of the little, like, we call them like, red pepper paper dolls or accordion green onions. You don't get any of those. So, and the nikiri is really good for if you're doing just a ton of veggies. I'm going to kind of fast forward a little bit, and I picked 3 smaller knives.
Did you really? Look at that.
I did.
Listen,
So,
Don Penny has 3 things to say. He says that the wax does a great job on handles. Yes,
yep.
It does. You're right. You're correct there, Don. He says he used it on his new knife shelf mount. I don't know what that means, but it sounds like he waxed some wood with it. And
yep.
He says, have I mentioned how much I love my Nikiri? It's so awesome.
Nikiris are nuts. Like I never owned a Nikiri until I bought our twin knife, our Denka twin. I never owned a Nikiri before that. I never thought I needed one because I was always very like, I got my chef's knife, I don't need anything else.
Oh man,
I talked in that voice all the time.
He used to talk in that voice all the time. It was weird. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Scalloped potatoes with a Nikiri changes you, and cutting like a whole bag of onions with a Nikiri changes you.
Yeah, it's just the profile of the knife is perfect for certain jobs. Just like if you're just chopping very quick, like bang, bang.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I generally I chop 2 different ways. You can like rock chop, or you can just kind of go forwards and backwards. And if you've got a job, like for me, Kevin always talks about like, doing like potatoes for hash browns or doing a big bag of onions. For me, it's button mushrooms. That's my Nikiri job.
I like to use a 360 Sujihiki. I mean a 360 Gyuto for button mushrooms. or anything big. I like using a big. I like using a big knife for button mushrooms. Also, listen, Gabrielle McCaffrey said, "Oh, magnetic wood from Magnetic Hill is the best. Tell Chris I'd like to buy a magnetic wood block, please." So
All
now
right,
you
I'll
know.
set him up.
Now
I
you
know
know.
what Gabriel McCaffrey's getting for Christmas.
Bottle of scotch.
Yeah.
You like scotch, right?
He prefers scotch, yeah. That's how
So
I'm
I
gonna
thought he
not get
preferred Irish
invited over
whiskey.
for
I
dinner
would
anymore.
assumed it was Irish whiskey, but what do I know?
It is. It is. Yeah,
Okay, what
although
do you
he
do
does
with your
quite like
three?
rye as well.
What
So
do
I've
you
got
what do you
three
do with your
smaller
three?
knives. So 3 of my 7-piece set are small. And they might look very similar, but I have different jobs for them. I have a
Let's hear it.
120 petty, I have a 120 petty, and I've got a 150 petty, and then I've got a Hanasuki. The Hanasuki is what I generally use as a boning knife. You would traditionally it's for butchering poultry, but you could use it for most butchery. I find it's only ever.
I saw a video where the guy take down a whole pig,
Oh
like
yeah,
to a whole pig, from a whole pig right down to individual cuts, like individual
yeah. Like
chops.
was it that Japanese video that Mike had
Yeah.
shared? Yeah, it was incredible. We should share that with someone.
Do you know
That was a
what?
really good video.
Visty's going to go shoot another deer this year. Maybe we'll just do a real fast video of me butchering a deer.
That'd be fun.
He just did this
Oh, with the old bow and arrow.
with the bow and the
That
arrow.
was
Got
good.
himself a mule deer. This is Visty Kerr, who did the photography for probably the best book ever written by humans, called the Knife Nerd Guide
definitely
to
the
Japanese
best
Kitchen Knives.
Yeah, yeah, and he's a cabbage bear. This guy.
And he's a cabbage bear.
Oh,
look at that.
Look at that! Look at the go for you guys.
I just got delivery of this, the finest book ever written by a human. So Visty Kerr, who did all the photos, which made the book good, just shot himself a mule deer with a bow and arrow this weekend.
Nice.
And but if he gets another one, he might get an elk this year. If he gets that, we should just do a big butchery video. That'd be fun.
So Hanasuki, this is my own Hanasuki, so it's kind of a little worse for wear. I use it a lot, but it's a lot thicker across the spine, so you can use that. You can get. They're a little more durable than knives made of the same steel that are made thinner. Now that's not permission to try to cut open a paint can with this, but
don't do that.
No, but I do, like, I will split a chicken breast, like through the breastbone using a Hanasuki. I've never chipped it. I probably have a better idea of what's going on than most people when it comes to that sort of stuff. So, but we do videos, like we've done several how to clean a chicken videos of, in a normal world, we do it in our stores as a class once a month or several times a month, depending on which city you're in. And I don't know, maybe we could do it again sometime soon. I haven't done it in a while. So I use a Hanasuki as my boning knife. Now, when it comes to the petty knives, I got a big one, I got a little one. I like the big one for if I'm doing any kind of small chopping that doesn't look like,
which knife is that?
This is one of those Kisuke, the Manaka ATS 34.
I like it.
Mustache here on my mouth. So I like a 150 for you can almost treat it like a baby chef's knife. Like you could cut like a few cherry tomatoes or something if you're hanging out at the edge of your cutting board. It also makes a good, like if you're preparing, like say you're making a stir fry and you had like a chicken breast, like it's really good for like cleaning up boneless meats.
Yeah.
Like if you had a couple chicken breasts, you just needed to cube it up for your stir fry. Something like that. It's a bit like a baby carving knife if you work in a restaurant, that kind of thing.
Well, listen, I use mine to carve a chicken just about every week. I do a roast chicken. I probably do 52 a year, and every week there's a roast chicken in this house, and I always use my little 150 petty to carve it.
Yeah.
Because my 300 Tsuchihiki is a bit big.
Is a bit big. I also picked a 120 petty. For the even smaller jobs. Now, this is where I can't remember the name of who had said that there was a 75 millimeter petty. And
I think that was Gabrielle D.
Gabrielle D. Yeah. So I would use this like he probably uses that knife. I'm very
Right.
comfortable just choking up on the knife and using it in hand like that. Like if I was like peeling a potato or an apple or something like that, or like like fluting a mushroom, or not that I have to do much of that kind of stuff anymore. But I would use a 120 petty for all of the kind of in hand work. A lot of people might find that a little bit big, and that's where you would use that 75 mil petty, but I prefer this. So, and that's just, I'm just throwing my preferences at you. That's all.
Listen, we've got a couple of people asking questions saying you're forgetting about the Ishime 110 Kokiritsuke. Or how about the Moritaka Kokiritsuke instead of a 150 petty?
You could. I would use the Kokiritsuke in lieu of this one, though. Because I think the 150, the one, you know what, I'll get them. I think I got one here, yeah. Because one of the things that I like to do with the with a 150 petty is it's really good for if you're trimming up any silver skin or dealing with a smaller fish or something like that. I find the extra length is really good for like if you were filleting like a small trout or like perch or something like that. Like I would use this knife myself. But for any of those vegetable jobs, I presume that's Iggy saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say then you could go.
Well, there was two people in a row actually. It was Iggy and then it was Van Island LP.
Okay. Oh yeah, look at that. You could totally use this, but it would be better for those like the chopping jobs, less of like the butchery jobs. But you could choke up on that too and use it for any of those kind of in-hand jobs.
We've got some other comments here, and I think this is a chance for you to help Sean here. He says, I finally got a Takeda Nikiri, and I want to love it, but it wedges hard in carrots and potatoes.
Mm-hmm.
This is a fact. It will do that the way it's built. I say don't use your Takeda on carrots and potatoes, but do use it on onions and shallots.
Yeah.
And you will go bonkers. It's so much fun.
Yeah. And that's just because of the way that his knives are sharpened. Like he starts thin when he's on the hammer. He starts thinning it out as he goes down. So then at the very end, he just puts this we would call it's called a shinogi, like the big primary bevel, like on a denka. Let me go back to the proper camera here. So on a denka, like this big fat cloudy bit is called a shinogi. And sometimes you'll hear people call it like a primary bevel.
Yeah.
Takedas are very, very short. Moritakas are quite short too by comparison, right? But that kind of gives you a more dramatic angle off of the edge. So that's what's making it feel kind of wedgy.
Yeah. The reason he does that is because his blades are so thin. If he sharpened them as fine as that denka, the edge would be really fragile.
Yeah.
So he has to sharpen it like that. It's totally got a different feel. And this is why I tell everybody who loves knives, get one Takeda because they're cool and they're weird and they're interesting. But I don't think you need a whole set of Takedas. And Sean is now also saying, what about a 150 Yuto? I have a Mabroshi and use it all the time.
Yeah, I have a 150, a 150 Yuto. I guess that's just your 8th knife. I guess I did it. I've breached the 7.
Did you breach the 7? That's okay. I think I have 20 in my 7 set.
Yeah, 150 Yuto. There's a lot of argument for a 150 Yuto. If you had like a designated boning knife, like either maybe it's a 150 petty or whatnot, you could slip the 150 Yuto in instead of the other petty. Like if you had something for cleaning up meats and fish, and then something for doing smaller chopping. If we had to keep it to 7, but we should go to 8 at that point.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There's someone, Mateo Chef is asking me a question on Instagram. I'm not too sure what he means. He said, do you have any Honkatsu? I don't know what that could be.
I think he's talking about Honkatsu. I think it's it's that boning knife that's got the little curved blade, and then it's the blade, and then goes into the handle, and there's no.
Oh, the one that we called a sakabone for a really long time.
Sakabone, or sometimes Hanasuki Maru.
Yeah,
it's the same. It's all the same knife, right? The great thing about that knife, I can't find one I like right now. or else we'd have more of
Yeah.
them. And the one I had, I actually gave away recently, well, a few years ago. So I haven't had one
Yeah.
for a while.
We did have them. We had a couple in the shop the other day, but someone must have
Yeah,
bought them.
well, we're kind of experimenting
Okay.
with some different makers to find the ones we really like.
Yeah.
Soon. Anthony's asking, how does a danka do in carrots and potatoes? I'm lusting, but I cut a lot of root vegetables. Listen, I have 3 danka chef's knives and a nikiri, Anthony, and they are amazing in potatoes and carrots. They don't wedge at all. They cut them
Yeah.
as fat or as thin as you want, and they make this sound when you cut.
Well,
Yeah,
last week when we did this,
I can't actually say enough about Fujiwara dankas and
I was
the way
cutting
they
up some
cut things.
squash with one last week, like no problem.
That's right, you did. That's right.
You know, and what it takes is the real thing, Anthony, is that it'll be the best knife you've ever used, but if you abuse it, you'll chip it.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to, and there's no point in us mincing words. Like if you habitually scrape your cutting board with the edge of your knife, you'll put some little chips in it. If you try to cut through something that you know you shouldn't, like a parm, if you stick it in a big wheel of parm and start twisting, you'll leave knife behind. If you try to cut through something frozen or a chicken bone, you will chip your knife, but you'll be hard pressed to find something sharper.
Oh, true. And Chef Max is saying, hey, dude, dankas are amazing with carrots and potatoes. And he also said that his danka nikiri changed his life.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Yeah,
he says your kid.
2 weeks ago.
Also, he says your kid has no bread knife. What gives? What gives, dude? Why no bread knife?
Oh, you mean this bread knife?
Oh.
Obviously, I've got a bread knife.
I don't.
Come on.
Not in mine. I don't think. I think
Yeah, so I just grabbed.
I think I have 9 Utos in my 7 knife set.
You know, we had a bread knife sale in the middle of when all the shops were closed.
We had
a bread knife. I'm probably not supposed to talk about this.
The bread knife sale was hilarious.
We had a sale for bread knives because everyone's making sourdough. We sold every damn knife we had.
Every bread knife in the first day. In probably the first 5 hours.
Yeah, we ran out of bread knives embarrassingly quick, and we still haven't really recovered. Like we get a few in, and then they sell, and we get a few in, and then they sell. So I grabbed this Miyabi. This is one of their newer lines called the Hibana.
Oh,
and it's a
beautiful,
really
man.
gorgeous knife. Like it's got a really nice.
Listen, their 150 petty, I think, is outstanding.
Yeah.
The shape of it's beautiful.
Like a Hanasuki?
There's that one. No, I was thinking like the really thin one.
I got one here. But yeah, no,
I think you know the one I'm talking about.
Knife. Yeah, I totally grabbed a bread knife. I'm not a clown. I just look like one.
I don't think I have a bread knife in my set. Fred is saying, do I really need a job Kiritsuki Ishime if I have a Kumo Banka already? Fred, you always need one more knife. I say just get it if you think it's cool. Yeah, and Fred's also saying my Danka Nikiri is my favorite now, and the Takamura R2 is my second. But I go to Kumo Banka a lot too. Do I really need a Ishime Kiritsuki? Do I really need a Ishime Ko Kiritsuki if I have a Kumo Banka? Well, the Ko Kiritsuki is quite smaller. It's more like a Ko Banka. It's more like a Ko Banka. And I say you need one because that's the one. That's the knife there, Chris. Anyway, I say you need one because they're cool. No, the other one. That is the one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, Fred, just get it, man. You'll be happier.
Yeah, well, the Ko Kiritsuke is a lot smaller than everybody else's Ko Banka. It's 110 millimeters long instead of I know a lot of the Masakage stuff is 150 or 155. I know Masashis are a completely different shape at all. They're like a baby Santoku. I don't know if you can see that. This is
Yeah, very different thing.
So it's if you're intrigued, you would be very happy. It's only $183.
Yeah, there you go. Easy peasy. Listen, do you want to know how that Kokirotsuki came about from Mortaka?
Did you just write it on your list?
No, that's what I did with Hanasukis. Um, no, the Kokirotsuki. I was there in Kyushu with the Fuji with the Mortakas, and they
Yeah.
had brought in a 130 petty from one of their neighbors for resharpening, but they'd use the tip for a screwdriver and snap the end off of it.
Oh.
So they just turned it into a Kokirotsuki like that, just ground the end off. And I saw it. I was like, can you make those for us? They're like, yeah, but that's kind of stupid. And I went,
Okay.
no, it's not stupid. It's awesome. You should totally
Yeah,
do
people
that.
will love it. People
So
love it.
so
Any guesses
they just made it for us now. And yeah, it's just based on a broken 130 petty that they had in the shop.
So here's a
Which
quick
makes me
little
laugh.
recap of Chris's 7-piece knife set. I got a bread knife. I got a 150 petty and a 120 petty. I got a Hanasuki, a Nikiri, and a 240 Gyuto. My last one is a Tsujihiki.
Oh, who's that?
That's a Kotetsu.
Yes,
I
it
had
is.
it for a number of years. I had to thin it out though, but Sean did a good job on it. When I
Sean
said
did a
I
great
had
job.
to thin it out, it was hey, how are you at hot rodding? You got to do this. Hot
Well, it's
rodding
good.
is the word we use to describe thinning out a knife.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese word for it is sharpen. And so we kind of needed to give it a term that was something other than sharpen that we could describe to customers that, hey, we're going to do something weird to your knife. So we call
Hey,
it hot
listen,
rodding.
Sean that likes the 150 Gyutos and has the Takeda Nikiri that wants to love it but is having a hard time is asking for a home cook.
Mm-hmm.
In a Hanasuki, do you value sharpness or toughness more?
Toughness.
Now, I say sharpness. At work, like when I'm busting down a bunch of rabbits and birds and chickens at work, ducks, I want a tough one because I'm going to go fast and beat the snot out of it. If I'm at home and I'm doing one chicken, I want sharpness. I just want to put my knife on it and just for it to fall through.
Yeah.
Just
See, I
one.
kind of presumed when he described himself as a home cook, like a home use, was that he was going to be a little more nervous around the bones. I should have made that presumption.
Oh,
You know?
yeah, maybe.
But
I
I
don't know.
understand what you're saying. I agree with what you have to say. If you know you're going to be hard on it, go for it. But then I've got a Koishi, and mine is so Koishis are made out of super blue carbon steel with a stainless steel jacket, and I've just kind of sharpened mine a little bit differently. What I do is
What have you done?
I leave it a little bit thick. Like I've had this knife since I worked at the restaurant, but I've never thinned it out. And so it's a little bit chunky, and it's kind of just where I like it now. Like it's like perfect now, and I'm being very particular. Like this is like I'm not being normal when I talk about this, but it's a little bit thicker. And then when I sharpen the back, like from here to here, I'll put like a 20-degree angle on it, and I'll sharpen the rest. I'll sharpen the tip even lower than I'm supposed to, at like a 10-degree angle. So the knife is kind of varying sharpness along the edge. So that's the only time I've ever actually been really like kind of fussy about it. I sharpen the rest of my
that's
stuff like
interesting
pretty
because
well the same.
that leaves the heel really rugged, so you can go through chicken knuckles and things like that.
Yeah. So
that's actually a really smart move, I think. Fred's got a question. He says, "Is there any advantage to a Kokirotsuki Ishime over 150 millimeter Ishime?" The advantage I say is that the Kokirotsuki looks badass.
Yeah. Well, here.
And the 150 petty just looks like a 150 petty.
Yeah.
So I say the advantage is badassery.
Yeah. Right. So that's your 150 petty there, and that's your Kokirotsuki.
Oh, and Sean says you're sharpening your Hanasuki like a Deba, so you can use the edge for something different.
Yeah.
So very similar, yeah.
See, I'm left-handed, Sean, so I don't actually know much about using a Deba properly. I've
And
tried.
Chef Max wants to see what your small wares are. He says he likes peelers, microplaner, a get it right spatula, and a honing
Got
rod.
one of those. Okay, I got all kinds of gear in here because we've got a couple of neat new things too. So,
Great.
all right, let me adjust. Can you see that okay? Kinda. Yeah. I'll come in a bit closer. And I'll just move my very artfully built sign.
And Iggy says the tip on the 110 Kokirotsuki is amazing for precision work as well,
Yeah, they're super, super
as
fine.
well as just being badass.
Okay, so for small wares, I'm big on spatulas. And the only thing I'm missing here, because we don't have one in the store, is like a plating spoon. Okay, the plating spoon
Oh,
is the only thing I'm missing here. And usually I will steal the plating spoon or like the serving spoon out of a silverware set. I like that one because they're big.
yeah.
So I got an offset spatula. I got some pin bone tweezers.
Show us what an
I got
offset spatula is. Pull these things out. Give us a flyby. Oh yeah.
so an offset spatula is, you know what, you can use it for anything, flipping stuff in a pan. You could use it as like a spackle knife, like if you're working in pastry or something like that.
Or
Um,
spackling.
or spackling, you know. It is a very versatile $6 tool. You never know when you need one. Pin bone tweezers, you just fillet a fish and you got to yank the pin bones out. These guys are awesome because when I first started cooking, everyone used to say like, "Oh, just go buy some cheap needle nose pliers." But the thing about needle nose pliers is that they get all gross and full of fish guts. But you've
Yeah.
got like real ones there. You've got like long ones, and
Well, these
you
ones
know.
I use to pull the hook out of the fish's mouth.
Mm,
I just happen to have a bunch of fishing gear sitting beside me because I'm busy moving
yeah.
houses still, Chris, slowly. So what I've done instead of actually moving is just have piles of crap everywhere.
But what I like about these guys is that they're about a centimeter wide, so you can get more than one bone at a time. Very handy.
Yeah, I was gonna say also is this is what I always used until I got real fish tweezers,
Yeah.
and then realized that real fish tweezers were awesome, and these are disgusting.
I've got an R. Murphy oyster knife.
Hey, the green handle. Tell us about the green handle.
Yeah. So R. Murphy is an American company. I'm not sure what part of the States they're in. I can't remember.
The the American part,
The American part of the United States of America.
the gun
And
part.
so this is you're such a pain in the ass today. So they call this the Duxbury shucker, and I like it because I like a pointy shucker. It's a pretty rigid blade. It's not going to snap off on you.
I've often called you a pointy shucker.
Yeah, but the handle is good. Got lots of good torque, good oyster torque, because you got a lot to grip. But the plastic is all pulled out of the ocean, so it's all
That's the part I
recycled.
like.
Yeah, it's all recycled plastic out of the ocean. So it's great. And these things are they're like, I don't know, 26, 27 bucks. I can't remember. They're in a box over there and the price is on the box. I can't remember. So now I put these in because all the kids like them.
Well, it's legal now too, so you don't have to hide them.
So these are plating
Oh,
tweezers.
those are. I totally got that wrong. Sorry.
Yeah, they're not. It's not a roach clip. But a lot of guys will use these. You know, cooks will use this now for any kind of like they call them plating tweezers, putting food on plates. These are the kind of the titanium coated ones. They're 29 bucks. They look awesome, but they're just a really good little tool. I would usually use. I worked in a restaurant for a while where I was not allowed to. Obviously, I have a honing rod because you need that to take care of your stuff, but that's not what I'm reaching for. I used Moribashi for a really long time. I worked at a restaurant here in Ottawa, and the chef did not like us using tongs for things. So everybody got used to use. We found a way around his rule and started using chopsticks instead of tongs. So then I went and got a fancy pair of metal ones because now you can use them on the grill and not burn them up. So These are great. They a bunch of different sizes. I like the ones that are 180 millimeters in length, and I really like that these have a hexagonal handle, which is good if you're kind of getting into it. Like they're a little easier to grip. The faceted sides don't roll around in your fingers quite so much. There are round ones though, if you're a little more comfortable with that. And they're, 80 to 110 bucks, depending on the handles and the length itself.
Buy good ones and buy them once.
Yeah, just get the right ones. This is probably the most asked after item in the store. It is not a mini meat tenderizer, which
Is it?
is a decent guess. That's probably the best guess. But it's a fish scaler. It's a Japanese style fish scaler. You use it to kind of comb the scales off. You can go, and you can be quite gentle. The way I was taught in culinary school, and you were probably taught the same, Kevin, if I had to guess, was use the back of a knife and go against them.
And I did that the other day too. I did that on the other day beside a lake.
Yeah, it works.
It works.
The fish scaler is a lot nicer, and you're at less of a risk of bruising up the meat. You remember when we ate at the
sorry, go on.
At the Japanese ambassador's house, and that was the thing he was like, he got a little bit tipsy and he was going crazy talking about how people are rough with the fish in Canada.
Yeah. So. And I agreed with him entirely. The important thing about that scaler versus some of them, because you can get cheaper scalers, but the square ends aren't sharp on the sides, they're round. This one's
these are sharp.
One's really sharp. So what it just
and when he says cheaper, like this thing's only $14.
I know, but you can get them for like $3 or $4, but they're more rounded and they don't get the scales off right. They look really similar, but they're not.
Yeah, like when you rub your thumb against it, like you can feel like it's grippy.
Yeah. So you want to get like the right one. Because like I know the ones like you can get them in Chinatown. They're super cheap. They look real similar, but they don't work worth shit because the ends are too rounded. They're not aggressive enough. So they just don't work. And what happens then is you end up having to push too hard down on the fish and really mash the flesh instead of doing it gently and not mashing the flesh. So there you go. That's my story there. And someone is saying, what about Moritaka? Well, what about Moritaka?
We've been talking about Moritaka a lot this week.
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that. Maybe give us some more question about what about Moritaka. Fred Bishar says, oh, the tip of the Kiritsuki can actually do stuff. It's not just badassery. So apparently he needed another reason. Like, you can use the tip for precision stuff. But honestly, I just bought my first one because it was badass.
Yeah. That's how I end up with most of my stuff.
That's how you've got 3 motorcycles.
Yeah. Only one runs though.
Well, that's typical.
I saw something the other day that said nothing is as expensive as a free motorcycle. And I'll let you know how that goes. So I grabbed I grabbed a microplane and I grabbed one of the fancier ones with the handle because it's just more comfortable. And then I grabbed a pink one because I learned when you work in a restaurant, if you buy pink stuff, no one's going to steal it.
Yep. I like pink stuff.
Pink microplane, pink peeler, pink, like the little coon paring knives. I should have grabbed one of those for this, but we've got these like $17 paring knives. They got a little plastic cover on them. Those things, like, you should always have a couple around. It's like something to loan the new guy, you know, or something to like let the servers like, oh, I just gotta cut a lemon. Can I borrow your knife? Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. Fred's saying he's glad that the Kokiritsuki has a function, the tip, so he can justify it to his wife when he brings home. When he comes home and says, "Honey, look what followed me home." With my conroe.
You know what I used to do, Fred?
And my knife block. And
this is maybe bad advice because I'm no longer married. But what I used to do in that situation was I would buy a new knife. Now you're in the States, so you can't do this quite as easily as I could. But I would buy a knife and leave the box at the store. because it was always the knife box that gave me away that I bought a new knife. So I'd leave the boxes at the store and I just put them in my knife bag. So
Nice.
this is what Chef Max uses for splitting the chicken. That's what else is in my knife bag.
Here, do you want to see my 7-piece set?
Yeah, you do yours. I'm just showing off small wares now.
All right, here's my 7-piece set. I have to be straight honest with you. It's not 7 pieces.
No, I don't think anyone expected.
This is the set of knives that is packed up and ready to roll for me at any time. Because the great thing is sometimes I go off and do stuff, but every time I show up to go and cook somewhere, everybody wants to borrow my knives because they're like, Kevin's here. Let's see what he's brought. So I always bring cool stuff to let them use. So there's a ton of chef's knives in here or Santoku's. Oh, and here's something that I didn't put in, but I'm using more and more these days.
Ooh, is that the Fujiwara one?
Yeah, that's how I hold it. I hold it with 2 fingers down like that. And I don't know how you're supposed to use it if that's what you're supposed to do, but this is how I've come to use it now, and it works super great. And it's also how I hold my ping pong paddle. So if I was doing table tennis, I probably wouldn't with this. I would cut myself to death. But there you go. So that's kind of a fun thing that we didn't mention in there, but I do use it more and more and more these days. And one of the fun things about it is to put it on a potato and just let it drop through. You don't even have to add any energy to it. So there you go. Do we want to do this? Can we do this? Can we see my?
Yeah, go for it. I'll keep an eye on you do that, and I'll keep an eye on the questions for the next while you're doing that.
Leather strop.
Yeah.
Because when I sharpen or when I hone my knives when I'm away, I use a honing rod and then a leather strop every time. Every time. That strop just makes it better. It just makes it better. Here are some of my small tools. What do I have here? I have best peeler in the world.
Yeah.
And they're entire $7. I got my old flipper. Look how old that handle is. This one actually was survived a number of years at St. John Restaurant and then a place called River Cafe here in Calgary. But this is I've been using this brand. Yeah, it's No-Gen. I've been using the same thing. I've been using the same one for years, which is why we carry it, because it's the best fish peel going, period. I have a Lucky Wood plating spoon. It's a big fancy shape on it. It's really deep. So it holds lots of goop. We sell these every time garage sale comes along. So if you want to get one of these, garage sale is a great time. We should probably buy more, but we never do. I get a bottle opener, can opener. I met somebody that called it a wine key. You ever heard
I've heard that before. Yeah. I always
thought it was this is the official St. John wine key.
See, I always thought it was just a weird thing that Ivan said, because I've said it that way before, and then I've been laughed out of the room.
It's because it's weird, but I say wine key sometimes because I kind of like it. This is my meat thermometer.
Yeah.
Because I don't actually know what temperature to do things. I stab this in and get it warm, and then put it on my lip there, and I know from experience how hot I want it to be when I'm cooking different meats.
Yeah, because the number doesn't actually help.
No, I don't actually know what number I want.
Yeah.
So there you go. Here's my 7-piece set. Arcos cleaver. Me and this cleaver have done a lot of damage together. When I was working at St. John, we used to do, every Thursday I'd get 2 pigs in. I'd get on Friday a whole back of a cow, and then throughout the week would be like 4 lambs, a bunch of baby goats in season, and endless game birds and rabbits. And this guy and I did a lot of work. Unfortunately, I don't know if you can see it. There's a dent right here.
Oh,
so that's kind of sad. That's kind of sad.
But that's why you get a cleaver, because you know you're doing that kind of stuff. I'm going to interrupt you for a second because there were 2 questions here. Master of Play on YouTube is asking if we sell straight razors. Now, Knifeware doesn't sell straight razors, but we've got another shop called
We
Kent
do.
of Inglewood. I'm gonna put that in. I'm gonna put the link in there for you, Master of Play. So check
Yep.
out Kent of Inglewood. We carry a ton of straight razors over there. We've got we do carry some Japanese ones, the kind of single bevel style Kamasoris. We've got
And
Gokers,
we've even got them from Iwasaki still, which are hard to
Yeah.
find, but we know Iwasaki well enough that we get a monthly shipment from him.
Yeah. Yeah, so go over there. If you need help picking one out, you can always send me an email, chris@knifeware.com. You could always go, there's a little chat function in the bottom right of the Kent of Inglewood website that will, you'll get someone there if you needed a hand picking something out. And then Mike
Exactly.
H asked, Evan, what should we be keeping in mind? I'm paraphrasing. When looking at a Gyuto, how do you determine between getting a 210 or a 240?
Well, here, let's see what I have here. Is that a 240? I think that's a 240.
That's a 240.
And that's a 210. The difference is size. Oops. Let's see. The difference is size here, right?
Yeah.
But the big, actually, yeah, that's difference is size. I think at home, 210 is probably a great size, 210 or 240. If I was working in a restaurant, 240 or 270. If you normally use a 210 millimeter and it's a German knife, get the 240 Japanese knife. It's lighter, it'll be easier to control. And a slightly longer knife always gives you more utility. Just make sure you got a big enough cutting board.
Yeah.
There, how's that for an answer?
No, that's perfect. The thing that I normally tell people when they're in the store, you might not have, I don't know if you're nearby a shop, if you have the opportunity to pick these up, but if you pick up a 240 and you're terrified of it, you're like, oh, I'll never use that, that's way too big, we'll go with a 210. But if you pick it up and you're like, maybe, then you should get the 240 because you'll get used to it real quick.
Yep, I think so. All right, Hanazuki. This is my Hanazuki. It's Mortaka. And we all know why I have the Mortaka Hanazuki because I think they kill it. But I've been romancing a Maboroshi Hanazuki right now. I always thought I might want a Denko Hanazuki, but there's a Maboroshi at the Calgary shop that makes me feel a bit funny. I've been romancing.
Has it got a wah handle or a Western handle?
It has a Western handle, which is the one thing that's holding me back. If it had a Japanese handle like this, it would already be mine.
What about that one?
Yeah, see, that works for me.
Yeah.
Oh,
Is that
a single bevel? Is that a single bevel one?
No, that's the double bevel one. That's what I was just gonna say.
It's the single bevel one I'm after.
Yeah. Well, maybe there's a Denka then. I'll go look. Anyway,
that's my Hanazuki that I usually bring with me because this one I don't mind people using as well because they can beat the snot out of it. Like I said, this is my knife bag that I take with me when I go places. So there's a lot of knives in it for people to use. So that's a R2 Tsuchime Japanese or a Western handle knife. This is from Saji-san. Okay. So this one, and then this one's from Nomura-san. So it's a 210 Gyuto. But I love these because they're stainless steel, but they're R2, so they're going to stay sharp a long time. They look great. They're kind of matching, right? And one's got a good handle and one's got an evil handle. That's the black and whiteness.
Oh, it's like a black cowboy hat.
But what I really like about it is I can give these to somebody who wants to try my knives, and I don't have to worry about them beating them up too bad or rusting them, because they're quite rugged that way, and there's no rusting issues. I've got my R2 Damascus Gyuto here from Kato-san. He usually makes them, and they've got a black finish, kind of like the Muskagi Kumo. But I asked for mine. I asked for this one to be polished. I kind of ordered that separately. for me, because sometimes I do that. This one's a fun one. Do you know what this is?
Oh, let me look. I gotta guess.
What are you going to guess?
Is that? I think it's a kotetsu. I think it's an old kotetsu.
Yeah, but look at it's got patina on the edge there.
Yeah.
This
What?
is a kotetsu original. This is like the first prototype made with Algami Super, or no, sorry, Shirogami, steel and stainless. So
Yeah,
this
because the
is
tips
where the
aren't as.
This is where the Kotetsu R2 comes from. This was like one of the very first prototypes of it. And yeah, I've still got it. That's got some tarnish on it. I stored a bunch of my knives for a year, Chris, or more, and some of them got tarnished because I didn't have them stored right. I just had them in blade guards. If you're going to store knives for a while, make sure you use camellia oil on them, and then maybe wrap them in newspaper as well.
Yeah.
That is my
We've got a
favorite
little
Nikiri right now.
Oh, I was going to say we got some Denka conversation going on again.
Perfect. We can get to that. Do you know what this? Do you know what this is?
I know exactly what that is.
What is it?
That is a Haruyuki Kokuto Nikiri.
That's the one. And this is my Nikiri. Don Penny's got the same one. This is my favorite Nikiri right now. I've got a bunch of Nikiris, but this is the one I use the most right now, or at least was until I packed it away. But that's coming out again because that's I really like that. And we got some Denka talk, do we?
Yeah. So
I'll pull out a couple of Denkas.
Yeah. So okay. So starting, we've got a couple comments. Iceberg Mama says bigger the better. I love my 300 millimeter Moritaka Ishime Tsujihiki.
Yeah.
I see your 300 millimeter and raise you to a 360. That's mine. They make them
That's
even.
right. You have a 360. That's right.
Yeah. Anthony says, particularly with the Denka, is there much of a thickness difference between a 210 and a 240? Thin is important. Now, I would say the edge is going to be the same.
Get the 210.
Yeah.
Because the 240s are actually a bit beefier.
Yeah. Yeah. And then Adrian pipes up and says there's a big price difference between the 210 and the 240. That is true.
It's even bigger, but we subsidize them. Do you know that, Chris?
Yeah, I did know that. Yeah.
He charges double for 240 over 210s because he doesn't like making them.
Yeah.
So he puts punishment pricing in. So we don't charge double more, but he does.
Yeah, we've got you're looking at 1169 for a 240 Denka, and I think a 210 is like 875 or 900. Yeah, it's very. Yeah, well, most kitchens are too small for a 370. Or three, mine is. That's why I only use it outside. So James is asking.
A couple of my Denkas.
Cool.
Anyway.
Cool. I'll let you. I just want to say there were. Do Hanasukis in the Fujiwara line come with a finger notch? I could have sworn I've seen one made for a garage sale. I've never seen one.
I've never seen one with a finger notch. Nope.
Yeah. Oh. And then someone, Fred over on Facebook was asking if we'll see any Moritakas in the fall garage sale.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've got some lettuce. We got some lettuce harvesting knives and some Algami Super stuff coming.
Nice. Yeah, I like the Algami Super stuff.
And I think we got some Denkas or some Debas coming.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there's always a few Moritaka pieces in the fall garage sale. Someone bought mine today in Ottawa, the 240 Kuroshu Gyuto that I often stand and lust over. A lady bought it today.
This is the first one, Chris. This is the first one he made. He showed me as a prototype, and I bought it on the spot for me, and I got this handle put on it.
Oh, nice. Actually, you know what? I have something pretty impressive to show you that was made.
Because I know you like that a lot.
I do, but you've got to see this.
Me too.
I've wandered away for a moment because I was holding on. I don't often like showing off things that like people just can't ever have.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that. But this one, you can have this one. I just got this is the one that started it all.
But this is one that me seeing that sparks going to find this. Are you looking at the camera, Kevin?
I am. I'm looking. Oh no, you have that?
I don't have it. A very lovely man who lives in Ottawa.
There's only 4 of those, hey?
Yeah.
Oh, is it 4 or 2? It's 4, isn't it?
I think it's 2. I think there's this one and one that Naoto asked Masashi to make for him.
Well, Naoto got that, and Masashi gave it to him for his wedding, hey?
Oh, well, that's nice.
Super nice.
So this is a single bevel. This is a single bevel.
I
It's
saw
made out of
that.
Shirogami, so it's white carbon steel, which, because Benedict on Instagram just asked us, would like to ask about SLD performance vis-a-vis Aogami Super, edge retention and sharpness.
Aogami Super stays sharp a bit longer, but SLD is easier to deal with because it's more rugged.
Yeah, SLD will put up with more abuse. It's not going to rust on you quite as easily as Aogami Super will, but it won't get as sharp or keep its edge for as long. This is a special order knife for a customer made by Masashi-san. So it's a Sakumaru style tip. And then it's that Kuroshu style Damascus that he does.
And single bevel, my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here's the next thing that's in my bag that I let people use.
It's
240.
240.
Shiroshu, and if you look at the tip closely, you'll see what happens when you let strangers or friends borrow your knife.
Yeah.
You see the tip?
I see it.
You see that it's just not, or it's not pointy anymore. It's round.
Yeah.
That got screwed up pretty quick. Here's my 2 Debas, my 2 old Debas, but these are the same ones as the ones we're carrying now. They just have a different handle. So I got an old Deba that I like. Oh, and this is my Yanagiba. This is the Hadayuki SRS 15 or SRS 13 Yanagiba. We get these in sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you see them at the garage sales. This is an SRS 13 stainless Yanagiba. So there's my 7-piece knife set, Chris.
Yeah. Someone was just asking about garage sale. We are shooting for, it'll be in November. We're still working out the kind of logistical details of how we're gonna.
Chris, I can tell you what the details are. Sort of.
Okay.
About 80% of it's going to be online, and 20% is going to be shipped to the 4 cities.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Because we just can't have the crowds in the shops anymore. So we're going to have it mostly online, like we did in the spring for the garage sale. And Mike and I are going to go online on the Monday and Thursday, and just answer questions live and help you buy knives that you want to buy. Right? Walk you through the selection.
Yeah, and then for any of the kind of the other stuff, like we will have it in the shops, and we're going to just kind of business as usual for these days. We'll have to limit the number of people in the store, but we're here to help. Like, don't let that frighten you. Benedict is asking again about Fujiwara knives. Why should we go for the Denka versus the Mabaroshi? Because if you're considering the Denka and you buy a Mabaroshi, the sound it makes when you cut stuff instead of is good about a Denka.
Yeah, the problem is, right? The problem is they're just a better knife. They stay sharp longer, they cut better. They're just a better knife. And if you're actually considering the Denka, every time you use the Mabaroshi, you'll just be sad. And you'll just wish you bought the Denka. That is a true fact. That is a true fact.
A lot of Fujiwara and Moritaka talk today.
Yeah. Chef Max said, "Oh, I just got a package from you guys. Like just now, live? If that's the case, open up and send us a picture."
Or we can add them to our Zoom call.
Oh, we should do that. Okay, Chef Max, if you actually just got a box from us, we'll add you to the Zoom call, and you can do your own unboxing video. That'd be cool.
If you want, just send me your email, and I will.
All right, Iggy liked online, and the video was great. Yeah. So there we go. So Mike and I will do our 6 or 8 hour video again. I think we're going to start the garage sale same time everywhere at 10 a.m. Ottawa time. So that'll be 8 a.m. Calgary time, 7 a.m. East Coast time, or sorry, West Coast time.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it worked really. It went well. You know, it's as best as we could manage, right?
Yeah, because it's not quite the same as crowding into the shops, but life is like that sometimes, right? The world's changed a bit. Maybe next year we can have a crowded shop again. That'd be good. I miss that.
Fred
Fred's
is
saying
saying
how much more? Sorry, go on.
Go ahead. I was going to say, he said R2 Takamura was easily the sharpest knife he's ever used out of the box. And how much more careful do I need to be about rust with the Moritaka Ishime than the Denka? The thing to keep in mind, Fred, is that the maintenance is exactly the same. But if you skip a day or you don't pay attention, it's your entire knife that'll rust, not just the edge.
Yeah.
The day-to-day care is exactly the same. You just got a little more on the line. That's all.
Yeah.
So if you don't struggle with a knife that is clad in stainless, you'll be fine. You do need to be aware that a carbon steel knife is going to change in appearance as time goes on. It's not going to look the same on day 1000 as it did on day one, and that's kind of part of it. If that really stresses you out, I wouldn't bother. Just kind of stick with what you know you like. I personally, I like that. I like the breaking in of a knife. I like that they change in appearance. That kind of. Kevin, there's a good question. This Benedicto guy on Instagram has asked another good question. You should really zip over to YouTube so you can hear what Kevin has to say. I'll repeat it as best I can, but he says, are there performance or durability differences between Warikomi versus Sanmai cladding?
That's a fun question.
You know what, Kevin? I'm going to change these. I'm going to turn on the speaker for he should be able to hear you now.
Okay, good. You can't see me on Instagram, but you can hear me, so that's fine. The difference between the Warakami and the Sanmai is built this way. Two pieces of steel, right?
Yeah.
And then they take a third one and stick it right in the middle and fuse those three pieces of steel together. So you got 3 levels there, 3 layers, okay? Now, Warakami is the same idea, but they don't have 3 separate pieces. It's more like a sheath like this. So Warakami is split open, and then the hard steel is slipped in between like that. So think of like a hot dog bun. So it's like the hot dog bun opens up and the hot dog goes in, but the bun hasn't been split all the way, as opposed to a bologna sandwich. You got 2 distinct pieces of bread. So that's Sanmai is 3 pieces. San means 3, so 3 pieces. Sanmai means 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3, like this. We've got soft steel, hard steel in the middle, and then soft steel again. So you end up with 3 layers of steel. Whereas Warakami is they split the steel open like this and put the hard steel down the middle. So at the cutting edge, there's 3 layers of steel. But if you look at the spine, it just is 1 piece of steel. So the Moritakas make Warakami steel. They do it themselves. And Fujiwara, for example, makes his own Sanmai steel. The difference in performance, there's none. Well, more or less, right? Like there's craftsmanship involved too, right? And Fujiwara-san, for example, starts with fatter pieces of steel, hammers them more, which makes the steel harder and more robust, so it does stay sharp longer. But that's because of his technique, not because that it's Sanmai. The difference is Warakami, if you took this knife and this was Sanmai, you could sharpen it down until it was this size and it would still cut just the same if you took care of it properly. If it was Warakami, you couldn't sharpen it this much because you would lose the core steel. The core steel would disappear because it doesn't go all the way to the spine. Does that make any sense?
It does, yeah.
Okay. And I realize I'm talking to somebody on Instagram. They can't see me, but I was doing visuals. So.
He's zipped over to YouTube. He said
Oh yeah. Okay.
So if for some reason he's missed out on a little bit of that. It's nothing to just go back. So he'll get it.
Look at that. Oh,
says,
go on.
That they cut a big piece of fresh meat on the freshly sharpened Moritaka Suji, and the patina it did was awesome. I know. I'll get mine big one that I was giving you grief about. But I've only ever used this knife. Well, up until last week, I cut up a potato or something with it. But yeah, like meaty, like a lot of beef and like fatty meats will leave a really cool oil slick patina on these things.
If you just cut onions with it, it gets kind of a blue patina, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Onions are kind of funny that way.
I don't really mess around with forcing patinas too much. I know a lot of people like to do that.
I have.
Yeah.
I have,
did
but I don't have patience for it.
Yeah, I did it once with my Kagura, that little 150, the one that I just like I had to fix a chip out of a knife that I have because it got smacked around at home.
You know what, things like that. Oh, I know which knife that is too.
So I had to fix it. Then I cut myself on it. Did I tell you that part, Kevin?
You cut
so
yourself.
Okay, I'll just tell the story now. Maybe this is what we'll finish on, unless anyone's got any good questions for me. So something happened. I don't know exactly what. I was at work, but I got a text that said, I chipped one of your knives. I'm very sorry. I'll replace it. Now, the thing is, this knife can't be replaced because the gentleman who made my knife is no longer working. And so the knife got a chip in it. And I said, don't worry about it. Just leave it. I can fix it. It's not that big of a deal. Because we do chip, like people chip knives and they can be fixed, right? So I said, I'll fix it. She's like, no. Just tell me how much it was and I'll replace it. I was like, well, you don't want me to tell you how much it was because you don't want to have to replace it. It's like $500 knife, right? Which is, it's not just like, in my house, that's something you kind of got to save up for. You can't just spend that just because. So, but then on top of the fact that the blacksmith Kagura-san had retired, so there is no replacing this knife. So I was just like, look, I can fix it. Please stop stressing out about it. It's not a big deal. And so then I brought it to work. It was on a Saturday, and in between, I was sharpening that day. And so in between all the customers' knives, I'm working on my own knife. And then at some point during the day, because it's got this cool like homemade I don't have it here, but it's got like a cool, the Damascus that he makes is out of recycled materials. So like it's always got these like crazy swirls and it's super inconsistent. It's really like chaotic. And I really like that. Like it doesn't get more handmade than Kagura's knives, right? So I'm there and I'm polishing it with some finger stones and trying to make it look nice. Because I thought like, well, if I do a really good job on it, I'll bring it home and I'll be like, hey, look, don't worry. Like, look, it's great. Ease her mind a bit. But then when I was using the finger stones, I cut myself. Like I slipped off the edge and came back and put two big gouges in these two fingers. And I came home from work with these band-aids on my fingers all bandaged up. And she's like, oh, what happened? I'm like, I cut myself sharpening. And she's like, not on the knife I chipped, I hope. I was like, yeah, it was on that. Yeah. So there was no saving that one. There's just a lot of bad feels. I fixed it. It looks great. But
I didn't know that you cut yourself with it too.
yeah, it was pretty bad. So, there's a couple good questions there again on
Well, I see someone's asking if we're going to ever bring in Jiro Nakagawa knives. We may. I don't know Jiro Nakagama, but I know that I know he's in Nagano. And I know that Naoto says he's got a couple blacksmiths from Nagano that he wants us to meet here. So we're going to have a Zoom with these guys pretty quick. So he might be one of them. Cool. So we might have those in. Yeah, because I can't travel this year. So we're doing Zoom meetings with people. So that's easier. Am I crazy? I thin my knives every sharpening, so every week is a new patina. No. You know what? When I was a chef, I sharpened my knives every week as well. But now I'm at home and I have too many knives. I don't sharpen every week. Yeah. So knives pick up a patina for a long time. take on a patina over a long time at my house now.
Yeah. And Anthony, sharp and thinning your knives frequently is actually best practice. To
Oh,
be perfectly
absolutely.
honest, it'll your knives will always be as sharp as they can be, and you'll never run the risk of like it's a pain in the ass when it happens because people sharpen their knives. I'm trying to find something here where it's very obvious what I want to show you here on this Danka with a patina on it. You can kind of see like this dark stuff down here, that's the core steel, right? And if you sharpen the knife without thinning it, it just creeps up towards that cladding. And then eventually you're not cutting with the core steel anymore. So by thinning it out frequently, like I said, that's the best thing you can do. I wish everyone kind of did that. Because what ends up happening around here is a lot of people are like, oh, I sharpen my own knife, but I just can't get it anymore. And it's because they haven't been thinning it. And then like now we've got the gear, it's not a huge deal for us to do it, but you know, it's always easier. It's easier to do it every time than it is to let it build up.
Yeah. Anthony's asking, have you guys any finger stones for sale? I'm having a heck of a time finding any. We will. We will. We have bought 3 big, huge lumps of stone that are perfect for finger stones. We just have to find somebody to cut them now and break them off into pieces. So we will have some. I think Naoto's dragging his feet because he sometimes doesn't like to make mistakes. He likes to do everything perfect, and I want to crash along and just make mistakes and learn from them. So, Anthony, if you really want some finger stones, the best thing to do is send Naoto an email, Naoto at knifeware.com, Naoto at knifeware.com, and say, Kevin says you've got finger stones we can buy.
There, I'm gonna put it in the comments.
So that'll because we live in Calgary. There's a lot of geologists here and a lot of core samples of the earth is taken out and people cut them. So I think we can find somebody with a stone cutting rig here pretty easily. In fact, I should ask Visky about it. And then all we have to do is cut them down and then kind of whack them with a hammer and make little stones, and we'll sell them. So yeah, we have finger stones coming. We just haven't done it yet.
Someone named Jack Dawson is asking if this is the Ottawa store, and it is the Ottawa store.
It's the Ottawa store, and this is my house.
Yeah, so
power of Zoom, man.
If you were checking this out on YouTube or Facebook, you'd see the other half of the conversation and not just this really great sign. I'm quite proud of this. I did that, like, I wrote it in back.
Did you do it left? Did you do it left-handed?
Oh, of course I did. Of course I did.
Wow.
It took a while, but we've got this week's Simarjeet is asking us about if we'll bring in any more Shigafusa knives. We get whatever we can from Shigafusa. Now it just so happens that his stuff is incredibly sought after, and as soon as we get it, someone buys it. So Shigafusa knives almost never make it into one of the stores because they sell online and never make it out of the warehouse. So if you're on the hunt for a Shigafusa knife, find it on our website. Okay, there's going to be a little button that says notify me when available. Put yourself on that list, and then as soon as those knives turn up, you'll get an email that says, hey, it's back in stock, do you want it? If you're serious about it, don't hold your breath because someone will buy it in the next 10 minutes. And then you can get it. They come in a couple of times a year.
Oh, no, they come in, Shigafusa knives have been coming in about 10 times a year right now.
Oh, okay, I didn't know
Sometimes
that.
1, sometimes 5. They come in and they go out the same day. Like, they don't last.
Yeah.
So what happens with our website, if you're on the list for Shigafusa knives, I think there's 5 or 7 different shapes on that. Put your name on all of them. Put your name on all of them, and you'll get an email when they come in. If any Shigafusa knives come in, you'll get an email, and just when you're interested, just buy it right away. So what our website does is we've got about 300 people waiting for Shigafusa knives. So what it does is it sends out 15 emails, and if nobody buys them in 15 minutes, it sends out another 15. And they're still after 15 minutes, it sends. So it eventually sends out emails to everybody on the list. But it really is. It pays to just buy it as soon as you see it.
Yeah.
Right.
The
As soon as
Voog
that
is
email
asking.
comes in, just buy it.
The Voog is asking on Facebook if anyone at the store is good at stitches. He must be
Yep.
referring to my sharpening. And what I do, here's Chris Lord's kitchen first aid. So there should be a little asterisk that comes up, says Chris is not medically trained or anything like that. Duct tape and paper towel will usually fix most things. If that won't work, get some super glue.
The super glue is a thing. Duct tape and paper towel is really stupid. So don't do that. Don't do that. I also should not tell you what I do because it's just also bad.
I did an event. So I've got a really good friend here in Ottawa. His name is Kent Van Dyke. And Kent is a high school teacher. He teaches culinary arts at a high school near where I live. And every year, we've done this I've gone on behalf of Knifeware a couple of times, but he does this event called Food for Thought. And it's the kid, at one time it was the kids' exam, where he would invite 5 or 6 chefs from around the city. They would all get like they would be given a group of students, and then they were responsible for so I would come up with a dish that was going to be, I don't know what course. And then the kids would do all the prep under my guidance. And I was there one year, and Johnny Korecki was beside me. Johnny was on Top Chef Canada. He's recently just come back to Ottawa. He was the ambassador, or the Canadian ambassador to Japan's chef.
That's who he is. That's right.
Yeah, so Johnny was at the station beside me, and they were doing some kind of tataki slaw kind of thing. And so he had a couple of mandolins, and there was one kid using the mandolin, and this was like the toughest guy in the room. All right, he walked in, he was full of piss and vinegar, he already knew everything, he was that student, right? So this kid's using the mandolin. Fingertip comes off. As you can imagine, he's not paying attention. Mandolins will do that. And then he starts with instead of applying pressure or whatnot, he was like, oh shit. And he starts flicking his hand around because it hurt. And I was there talking to my students, and it was just it was like American Psycho. I was just like all this kid's blood on my face. And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like,
that's awful. That's awful.
You killed one, but it couldn't have happened to a better kid, because this kid was such a little shit disturber. He had it coming. But now, whenever we do that event, we're not allowed to use friggin' mandolins anymore because of that kid. He's gonna cut everything by hand. These are high school students. They can't do anything fast.
It looks like Simmerjeet's also saying, asking about the, oh no, this is Benedicto saying the Shigefusa knives are almost twice that of other brands. And aside from legacy feeling, does it really outperform Fujiwara Takeda? Performance-wise, the Takeda don't even perform like Fujiwara's, in my opinion. The really big thing about the Shigefusa is the fit and finish and the process, right? They're really just perfect knives. Takeda's knives and Fujiwara's knives are really, really rustic. The Shigefusa knives are perfect, right? So when I was talking to Bob Kramer, I'm wearing a Kramer shirt today. Look at that. Last time I was with Bob, he was saying that he thinks that Shigefusa is the best blacksmith in Japan. And I don't know if you know Bob Kramer, his knives sell for 20 grand a pop now. And he's a bit of a hotshot blacksmith in the States. He comes up to our Vancouver store quite regularly, actually, because he just lives across the border. So I guess he hasn't for the last 6 months come up to Canada, but he does come up to Vancouver quite a bit. And sometimes we cross paths, him and I. And the good thing is we both like to drink red wine into the late evening. So that's always nice.
That's a good friend.
So, yeah, you could have worse guys. He actually helped me with the Damascus part. So I wrote this book that I happen to have beside me again. Boom! About Japanese, was it called The Knife Nerd Guide to Japanese Kitchen Knives? So the section about Damascus steel basically is about Kaigura-san, which is the knife that you cut yourself with after it was chipped. You fixed it. Yeah. But Bob Kramer helped me with the Damascus info on that, and he edited it for me. So I know that it's sound, which is good. But yeah, Shigefusa knives, incredible workmanship, incredible craftsmanship, perfect fit and finish, just beautiful knives, right? And cut like crazy, right? And have that legacy aspect you're talking about. And now my cat is jumping up on my table with all of my kitchen knives on it. So he's going to sit here with me now.
Nice.
She's the dumb looking one. The orange one looks normal. She's just kind of funny looking.
Don says using the mandolin terrifies him, and he tends to use a glove even with a cheese grater. But I think Don has one of those microplane cheese graters, and he should wear a glove with one of those.
Oh, dude, those will ribbon your thumb. Those are so bad. Those are so
that's why they
bad.
sell the cut-resistant glove. I think is just for that one thing. Yeah,
You know what?
Adrian's saying the same thing. I got a cut glove for the mandolin.
Yeah, the worst cuts I've ever given myself are the mandolin. Although the worst cut I ever saw in a kitchen was a guy using the big deli meat slicer without a guard. He was pushing something, and he did this to it, Chris. He took a slice off his wrist. Oh,
That's gross.
there was so much blood immediately. There was blood up the wall, and there was blood everywhere. And we tied a cloth on his wrist real fast, and he had to go with the manager to the hospital. But the manager is like, just got a brand new BMW. He's like, you can't bleed in my car. So his name was Mike, and Mike had his holding onto his wrist, but he had it in a plastic garbage bag. So he was bleeding into the garbage bag on the way to the hospital. He's since he lived, thank God, stopped being a cook since he became a roofer after that, and fell off the roof and broke 2 vertebrae in his back because he wasn't hooked in. And now he sells houses, which is safer.
That is safer. Yeah.
Yeah. His name is Mike Hansen. So Mike Hansen, if you're watching, one, I miss you. 2, that was a gross cut. And 3, I'm glad you're selling houses. It's just safer.
Better that way.
Yeah. Have we hit all the questions? I think we have.
I think we've hit everything that everyone's asked. We had a bit of there was some, there was the discussion about Shigafusa. We talked about finger stones. Over on Facebook, we've just got the Ottawa boys picking fun at me. I think we've done it.
This knife is now coming out of my kit and going back on the wall.
It should. I'm kind of pissed off with that lady bought one. I kind of wanted that. What do you got there?
Chef Max says, hey, do you have a pocket knife in your chef kit? And I don't, but I've got this. It's an R2 Saji folding steak knife. I don't know if we have any of these.
Is that a micarta handle too?
It's a micarta handle.
We had them.
Man, this is wicked. Yeah. So this stays in my kit. This stays in my kit. This is a hell of a knife. And so I use that if I have to eat. Or I'm sure I could use it for other little things.
We had a fella in the shop today picked up one of the Takeda ones.
And James Meredith is saying, what Japanese cookbooks are you into right now? I'll go get them. I'll be right back.
Yeah, I presume he's going to grab a couple by Nancy Singleton, Hashitsu Singleton. She had one come out last year called The Food Artisans of Japan. That was really awesome. She also has one called Japanese Farm Food and Preserving the Japanese Way. So yeah, Kevin.
Yeah, this is brilliant. This is just simple and delicious recipes. Here on the back, it's green onions, fresh green onions with miso paste. And it's simple food like that that's delicious. These guys, they do a grilling one. They do something called Japanese soul food. This one, hot pots, this is perfect for the season now. He's a Japanese guy, grew up in Japan, but it came to America when he was a kid. So grew up in America as well. And his idea was, how can I make these Japanese foods, but in America? So these, I love these 2 books right now. I think they're great. I've always loved this. I love Nancy's books. You know, she's invited me to her farm. Hey, Chris.
Well, you should go.
So I got to go up. I got to go up to Hokkaido and go to her farm for a bit. That'd be a fun time. Yeah. She says if I go, though, I have to sharpen her knives to pay for my way. So
I'm sure that's not so bad. Hopefully they're not too bad.
I know how to sharpen a knife, so that's all right.
A couple others that I quite like. No, I don't have them in the store right now to show you, but there's one called Chicken and Charcoal. Is a book that specializes in yakitori. I strongly recommend that. And then I have one that I really like. It's called Nanban, Nanban, and it's I don't know if we can still get it, but it's a restaurant in England, in London. Yeah, so this chicken and charcoal book is incredible. Matt
This is a Calgary couple
yeah,
that opened up a yakitori restaurant in Hong Kong, and they wanted it to be the best chicken restaurant in the world, and I think they might have done it.
yeah. No, the book is incredible, and you can take a lot of what's in it and apply it to other things. Like it does it's like a textbook for yakitori, but
Oh,
you
yeah.
can apply the technique and the sauces to other things as well. Ishime Hanasuki that he mentions in the book too.
Here, this is the best part about this book, right? Is that it goes through the process. It goes through, although it's got really gross black gloves. Oh, here, look at this. It tells you to get a Moritaka. Tells you to get Moritaka Ishime. Moritaka Ishime Hanasuki. Best chicken restaurant in the world tells you to get the Moritaka Ishime. But it's every kind of step by
every
step,
motion.
Every motion about how to butcher chicken, and that goes on for pages. Yeah. And then it shows you how to skewer all of the pieces.
Yeah, how to build the skewers.
Right.
And then when it gets to the cooking too, it breaks the cooking down into several steps so that you kind of know what to look for. It's an incredible book.
So it's Calgarians in Hong Kong cooking the best Japanese yakitori in the world. Of course. Yeah. That makes sense.
Obviously. So, all right. Well, Kevin, I should probably let you go. It's almost 8 o'clock.
You know what? The Voog says new knife or new grill.
Oh.
Grill's coming in October. Get the grill because they're almost sold out. Pre-order it before it comes in. It'll come in October. You can always get a knife, but the grills are a hot commodity. We can't keep in stock. I think we've got 90 coming in, and I think they're almost all sold.
Probably.
So it's ridiculous. And Surajit says, when are you opening a shop in Toronto? It was supposed to be this spring coming up, but this COVID thing kind of, let's just say it effed it all up.
Put the brakes on it.
Put the brakes on shit. So maybe 2022, but that's when I'm doing my cycle across Canada. So who knows? Who knows? We got to get through this COVID malarkey first before we can make plans like that. Yeah, maybe it's time to go.
Yeah. Well,
I smell fresh sourdough. So someone has pulled fresh sourdough out of the oven at my house, so that's good.
Oh, nice.
Do you want to see my sourdough?
Sure.
I didn't make it.
You do that, and while you're doing that, I'll kind of give the rundown. I'll do the.
And say all the things like you're supposed to say. If you liked it, press the like button and press the subscribe button, and that's what people on YouTube say.
You can subscribe to our Knifeware channel. We've always got stuff going up all the time. I know Nathan has been polling people on Instagram and expect an email in the next little bit as to certain topics he'd like to see covered. We'll do our best to get to everything. But we are running a couple live videos a week. Look at those. Those look good. Those look legit.
Oh, dude, these are super legit. Super legit.
We've been doing this kind of Ask Me Anything, Japanese Knife 101, is every Tuesday, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and 3 p.m. Pacific Time. It's always Kevin and myself. Well, sometimes one of us is busy, and we'll find someone to sub in. But it's usually the two of us answering your questions and discussing a loosely planned out theme. Thursday evenings at 6 p.m. Pacific time. So that's going to be 7 in Calgary and 9 in Ottawa. The Vancouver team does a knife sharpening video. It's usually more of the basics, kind of what do you need to get started. You can follow along if you like, and there's lots of opportunity for questions, just like today. And then on Friday afternoons, which is at what, 4 o'clock your time, Kevin?
Yep.
Kevin and Naoto get together and discuss advanced sharpening techniques.
You know what?
So that's where
Maybe I will do it one day, and Naoto can be my backup.
maybe.
I don't know if he'll accept that. You know what?
He might just push you out of the way.
9 years ago, I taught Naoto how to sharpen knives, and now he teaches me. There you
That's
go.
not a bad thing. It just means you did it right. You gave the right guy the job. That's what it means.
Yeah, I guess so.
So, cool.
Chef Max says maybe he can come on the episode one day and show us his small wares that he got from us.
Yeah, sure. If you want to join one of our videos, Chef Max, you send me an email, chris@knifeware.com, and I
Chris
will make
spelt
it
the
happen.
normal way.
The normal way,
CHR.
not the bald way. That's KR. You don't want that? CHRIS. So
Fred's asking how often should he strop his Dinka? As needed. Strop your Dinka when you feel like you need it. Probably daily. You could use a strop daily. Why not?
Yeah. You know what? I always told the cooks who worked for me to every time you start a new task, you should hone your knife.
That's probably wise.
Yeah.
Smart.
Couple passes on the honing rod, couple passes on the strop every time you start something new. That way your knife will always be as sharp as it can. Cool. Well, okay, so you know what we've got coming up? Tuesdays is Kevin and I. Thursdays is the Vancouver crew with the intro to sharpening. Fridays is Kevin and Naoto doing the advanced sharpening. We discussed garage sale that's happening in November. We've always got new stuff coming in. If you need a hand with anything, you should just reach out to us on our help desk. You can send an email to hello@knifeware.com. You can leave us a message through the chat function on our website. If you left a comment on Facebook or an Instagram post or anything like that, it all goes through the same funnel in the end. So someone will get back to you, usually quite quickly. There's no one working overnight, obviously, but we've got that staffed 10 or 11 hours a day. So you shouldn't have to wait for very long for a response, no more than a day to get someone back to you. You can always reach me at chris@knifeware.com. If you've got an idea for something Kevin and I should discuss, by all means, share it with us.
What are we going to do next week?
I don't know. We finally got to the 7-piece set, so I haven't looked that far into the future. I don't know.
Honing rod versus strop versus newspaper versus.
That sounds like more of a Naoto thing. I'd get lost pretty quick.
I guess.
I can help with the base. Like I could teach the Thursday sharpening class, but I can't teach the Friday.
Have we done an Akiri show?
No, we haven't really focused just on Nakiri. But let's do that. Let's talk Nakiris next week. I can get some carrots or something. We can chop up a couple things, play with the Nakiri for a bit.
Perfect.
That's a good idea. Cool.
Yeah, because I think I've got 5 or 6 Nakiris here.
Yeah. I don't know who's working in the morning, but holy, they're going to be mad at this mess I made.
Get home, it's late.
All right. I'll talk to everyone soon. Like I said, if you need us, you know where to get us. hello@knifeware.com. Leave a message somewhere. Subscribe to YouTube or like the video or I don't know.
Whatever you do.
My kids, she'll like a subscribe.
Yeah. Go to our TikTok page and put some stuff on it for us.
Yeah, we like videos of cats.
Hamsters on wheels. Hamsters running on wheels is my new thing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
YouTube hamster running on wheel. Awesome. Hours.
All right. I will talk to everybody soon.